Let's make some money in the food delivery space this year with a side hustle or a full-time hustle, driving in the gig economy for these food delivery apps, whether it be DoorDash, Uber Eats, or Grubhub. Now, before you get started, or maybe you just got started, even if you've been doing this for years, in this video, I want to go over some very important things that I wish I knew, and you'll see in this video that my brother and I wish that we knew before we started back in 2017 in this, well, 2015 rather, in this gig economy. So let me know where you're watching from, if you're watching live or if you're watching in the replay. And like I mentioned in this video training, I'm going to be bringing on my twin brother, Matt. We both drive really every major food delivery platform here. But to start, I need to tell you, this is the first time that you and I are meeting. My job here is to help you make money. I specialize in the gig economy. Again, doing this here in Pittsburgh. I've done this in San Diego, California since 2015. And it doesn't matter if you're doing this as a side hustle or a full-time hustle. My goal for you this year is for you to make the most money possible in two different ways. In active revenue streams like the gig economy. I say active because you're trading your time, your effort for money, right? In this case, we're talking about food delivery. And then also with semi-passive revenue streams. That could be a YouTube channel with revenue from that. It can be affiliate income programs that we talk about as well. So if you are new here, I welcome you to subscribe, to join the team of almost 40,000. And I appreciate you being here if you're already a part of the team here. I see you here. Yes, we are live right now. Welcome to the training today, everyone. If you're getting value today, definitely hit the like button throughout today's training. So I want to go over, firstly, number one, we're going to be going over 5 things that Matt and I wish that we knew here before we started in this food delivery space. But number one, it's constant changes. So let's talk about that. Let's bring on Matt here. I want to hear his take here because it doesn't matter what niche you're driving in this gig economy. Well, let me know. Is food delivery your favorite? Is it the biggest piece of your pie in your gig economy kind of arsenal here? Let us know here. But let's bring on Matt. I want to talk about this a little bit more. So welcome to the stream here. My twin brother, Matt, also coming to us from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Matt, how's your day going? I appreciate you being here for another video training. And then we'll talk about number one.
Absolutely. Happy to be here as always. And like Mike said, we're just going to cut right to it. So a lot of tips, a lot of mistakes that we've made. So learn from these mistakes, because as you're thinking about, well, what should I drive? Is it profitable? How much money am I going to make? Is this worth it? I've heard some things about DoorDash, Uber Eats. We're going to answer that and just cut right through all those mistakes that we made. And honestly, it was really frustrating over the years making these mistakes, but you don't know what you don't know. So we're trying to cut through that and give you guys the answers.
Well, I appreciate you being here again. And so number one of the things that we wish that we knew when we started here is frankly, the constant change in, I mean, not only just the gig economy, but food delivery apps specifically today. So what do you do as a driver when things are literally changing, maybe certainly month by month, but week by week here? How do you roll with that?
Right. So it's amazing because I've read the comments from you guys in the comment sections. And with a lot of these changes, it can really put you back on your heels. And you could be thinking, I've been making a lot of money, maybe on Uber Eats or DoorDash or whatever it happens to be. And then all of a sudden you go online and it's dead. And there's no quests. There's no challenges on DoorDash. Essentially, there's no bonuses. There's nothing out there to help you out. Well, what do you do when it seems like the rug is being pulled under you? What about changes that you're not happy with? Think about some of these changes on the apps. Maybe the screen looks different now. Maybe you're just uncomfortable with how it works as a driver. You began and then they changed how it looks and you don't like it. Well, the point is, on this channel, on Your Driver Mike channel, we try to tell you how to adapt. And we're going to go into some detail about that. But the point is, you are the ones that they want. And by they, I mean Uber Eats, DoorDash. So when changes happen, do whatever is best for you. And that's what we focus on.
Well, what I just actually, what I just took away, I'll bring it back up for us. So new features, we're talking about number one, these platforms change constantly. Again, month by month, certainly it could be week by week. So what you're looking at right now, folks, if you're watching this, and again, if you're getting value in the training today, definitely drop a like. But I mean, things like this, shop and deliver. This is something that I experienced in San Diego, and we're still seeing it here in Pittsburgh as well. Now, Matt, you drive on Grubhub as well. I've seen when I ride with you on our ride-alongs with Grubhub, we see the, maybe you can clarify, but it says, you'll simply have to pay. So you have to have your Grubhub card. And on Uber Eats, it's the same thing. They call it order and pay. So actually, I just got my Uber Plus card, which is it's the same thing as the DoorDash Red card. You're going to order and you're going to pay with that card. It brings up a whole bevy of new things you have to experience here. So if you saw something like this, shop and deliver on DoorDash, it's new. How would you react to that? Would you take one just to experiment? Have you tried some of the pay for it on Grubhub? What's your kind of thoughts on that?
Right. So here's the thing. We talk on this channel a lot just to break it down in a simple terms. So if this whole concept of shop and deliver is new to you, you go to a retail location. Sometimes it's a CVS, a Walgreens, even a grocery store. And typically from reading the comment sections, you guys have shared a lot of good examples. It's not going to be a long list of items. Typically, and I believe that they keep these shop and deliver orders relatively small. I mean, there's no guarantee on that. But you go in, you grab the items, and you pay for it using your driver card. So on DoorDash, you have your red card. So to keep it simple, do you take these orders? On this channel, we talk about how much money is it paying me for my time and how many miles am I driving.
Right.
So you could be in and out. You could be in a long line. But the point is, and what I want you to think about is the order is not going to be ready for you. There's an extra step. And depending on where those items are you familiar with this store? How easily can you navigate through the store, grab the items and go? Whereas food delivery, it's all packaged up in one bag, 1 or 2 bags, and you're in and out. Do I take these? No, I don't usually take these. But have I heard that it can be very profitable? Absolutely. So don't automatically throw these out. That's not what we're saying. But they're a little different. So you have to keep that in mind.
Here's what I would do with a shop and deliver or an order and pay. Here's what I would do. I would, firstly, if you're driving on these apps, folks, the dollars to mile ratio, how much am I getting paid for the miles driven? That's step one, is saying, okay, exactly that. How much am I getting paid for these miles here? Step number two is what Matt looks at. We can kind of combine this, which is the dollars to time ratio. How much am I getting paid for how much time is it going to take? So here's where the shop and deliver, the order and pay comes into play here. Well, if it takes me basically the same amount of time, or maybe a minute or two to grab, like Matt said, that smaller order, and the dollars to mile ratio makes sense as far as I'm getting good pay for this, I will do it. But I will tell you, I've had the red card declined. I've had a big hassle with shopping for an item. I'm trying to, actually, it was declined again. The first time it was a Wendy's order and pay or whatever, it was a red card order. And then the second was a shop and deliver where the card was declined there. So, I mean, you have to reach out to support. It's kind of a pain here. I want to move on from that, though, and let us know in the comments section if you have shop and deliver, because that is new here, but there's a lot that we really want to talk about today. So yeah, number one, these apps are constantly changing here. This is something else that's brand new that we really just saw last week. And frankly, you will see this last week. Why? Because it's directly related to the Postmates acquisition on Uber Eats. If you don't know, Uber did acquire Postmates. That deal is finalized. We're moving forward with that. And Matt, what this is, it's a package delivery on a food delivery app. You're like, why am I doing package deliveries on food delivery apps? In my case, this was actually a return delivery where I had cigarettes that I was prompted to just spin around and return back to the store. So if you're well, you do drive on Uber Eats as well. What are your thoughts on these new changes with package delivery, with coming over to Postmates? Have you seen package deliveries? Would you be wary of it, or would you just take it and kind of judge it like any other order?
So I'm going to answer that. But I just want to say shout out to Brad, Nadine, Mohammed, James. I'm watching you guys right here in the live chat. So any questions, make sure to put them in the live chat. But here's the thing. So I would never say no to something that's brand new. Okay. So we've been driving for years and years, I think since 2014, 2015. And when changes happen, it's typically at times a test. They want to see how many of you drive maybe this new way to make money. And if it doesn't work, maybe it'll go away. But I'm going to try these. Have I seen them yet? No. But it all comes down to how much is my and how much is your time worth. I want to make between 25 to 35 plus dollars an hour. And if it says, based on their logistics, factoring in your in and out time, your shopping time, all of that, based on the mileage, you're going to make $10 or $11 in this example. And look at that. It says 20 minutes. If it takes 20 minutes, that means times that by 3. That's an hour. So that I'm trending for $33 an hour. I would consider taking that. Yes. It all comes down to how much money can I make. I'm sure you agree watching this. I really don't care how I'm making that money, right? I'll pick up a jug of milk if I need to pick up a jug of milk. If you're going to pay me $11 to do it, and I'm going to end at $33 an hour. Do you agree?
Yeah, and James made a good point here, stating that alcohol and tobacco products should not be delivered. If you're watching this and you're new, kind of a peace of mind here, a lot of these apps do offer the option to opt out of tobacco and or alcohol deliveries, because there is a whole new set of responsibilities. I know on Shipt, you have to go through a whole training to get approved to even deliver and shop for these items here, because yeah, you do have to have the ID verification. I have done alcohol deliveries. So keep that in mind. I would agree with you. It's a same, folks, this is why here on the channel, we uncover all of the stones possible. We've gone over Roadie, which is a last mile delivery service. Amazon Flex, which is the same thing, last mile delivery service. Here's a little spoiler for you watching this live or in the replay. Come, I think on Wednesday, I'm going to be talking about a brand new service that I've never mentioned in 700 videos here on the channel. Now, it's not available in Pittsburgh, but it's available in, I think, over 100 marketplaces in the US. Be on the lookout for that. Subscribe right now so you can see that brand new service. It's not a new service. It's been around for a while, but we've never mentioned it here, so I want to mention it. It's a massive service. But yeah, land the plane on that. I'll try it. I mean, I'll try it. I'll see if it's worth it. I'll see if it's worth my time here. But let's move on to number 2. Today, folks, we're talking about the things that we wish that we knew before driving food delivery here. Very important for you to know this, really regardless of where you're at in your side hustle or full-time hustle progress in the gig economy. Number 2, a massive one that, I mean, if you're new, you're not going to know this. Straight up, you're not going to know this, and this is something that doesn't get talked about a lot because you have to get some reps under your belt. It's not everything matters. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's take a look at my latest DoorDash Dasher ratings screen here. So we see new features like contract violations. We've done videos on that. Feel free to search that on the channel if you want knowledge on that. Here, Matt, let me quiz you real quick. What doesn't matter on this screen and why?
Well, what doesn't matter is your acceptance rate. And the reason it doesn't matter, think about this. You're getting a lot of orders coming in and you're a DoorDash driver. Do you think it matters that I accept, or I'm sorry, that I decline 5, 6, 7, 8 requests in a row? Which one of these does that affect? My completion rate or my acceptance rate? Well, that affects my acceptance rate because I'm not accepting those requests. But once you accept the request, then you have to complete the order. That is your completion rate. There's some confusion from new drivers on this, but I've seen countless comments, and maybe you're watching and you already know this. If you already know this and you know someone who drives, tell them this. Some folks might think that there's a penalty for declining orders. That's not the case.
Yeah, well said. If you're watching this here, and really on any food delivery app, that's why we didn't title this video DoorDash, okay? Really any gig app, it doesn't even have to be food delivery here, acceptance rate, the percent of times that you get a prospective request and you're declining versus accepting that prospective trip or request. A lot of these apps, they're going to show you a metric like this, acceptance rate, and it does not matter. And this is a big confusion point for anyone new here. I see this thing. I mean, it looks kind of confusing. I don't know what this, it's in red, man. It says 23%. And if you click on it, it says accept more trips to increase your acceptance rate. And it really sounds like, hey man, I mean, you better increase this acceptance rate. We're showing it in red here. I mean, I think that sounds pretty bad. When in actuality, that does not matter. So Matt, you're right there. I appreciate you adding that. I would say, I'm just looking at the rest of this here. If I had to give my honest opinion, I mean, lifetime deliveries, it's kind of a vanity metric, if we're honest here. Completion rate very much matters. On-time or early rate very much matters as far as deactivations. Customer rating, I mean, that's kind of a vanity metric. Keep in mind, you do have to have a minimum threshold across most all of these apps, so keep that in mind. And then on DoorDash, with the contract violations, it kind of matters because if you get too many, you can be deactivated. Again, feel free to search those videos, but you can have a few on there. Hey, just want to let everyone know here, for a limited time, just another week or so, you can save 20% on mastering all of these food delivery platforms on the Mastering Delivery course. And as an extension here, it was going to expire this week. I've extended that through Memorial Day as kind of a Memorial Day sale. Here you get 20% off at yourdrivermike.com/delivery. Make sure to enter code SUPERCHARGE. You will not get that discount without entering that code. You can enter that at checkout. Thanks to everyone that's taken advantage of that code so far, that's gone through the course. I've heard some great feedback on it. And this is going to be the A to Z fundamentals for food delivery apps. If you're new, this is a great way to skip the line to know things that other drivers will not know until they get 100, 200 reps under their belt as far as setting up your vehicle, bonus positioning strategies, strategies of shift audibles and whatnot there. So make sure to take advantage of that. That is now, it does now have a definite expiration date of June 1st. So that will be expiring here. So Matt, we've gone over the point number 2 here as far as things that we wish that we knew. Number 3, and I knew this is something that you're very passionate about. So folks, lean in for this. Matt's going to talk about this and really spearhead this, is we wish that we knew really the earnings potential. I'll even extend this further to just generally the gig economy. If you're a hustle, if you want to be in the top 15% of earners, that's my goal for you. I think there's some great earnings opportunity, but I'm going to let Matt spearhead this one.
Yeah, absolutely. Some really good comments. Lewis, Linda, Krista, Rodney, I see you all in the chat here. Any more questions, put them in the chat. So let's talk about earnings, right? So you guys in the chat, what are your questions about earnings? But here's the main part. Think about when rideshare began and Uber and Lyft were this brand new thing. Well, maybe Uber Eats or DoorDash or Grubhub, maybe that's new to your city now. But you're already driving on one of those apps and you're comfortable with it. Well, we are naturally avoid situations that make us feel uncomfortable. I'm making $15 an hour. I'm making $18 an hour. I know how Uber Eats works. I don't want to mess with DoorDash. I don't want to confuse myself with Grubhub. Well, when I was driving Uber and I was riding customers with rideshare, I was all in on Uber, and I did not want to try Lyft. But here's the thing. If you're watching this and you're thinking about driving or you're a new driver, think about the last time you had a slow shift. Think about which app you were on. If you can answer that question with, I was on all three apps. It was just slow. I was using DoorDash, Uber Eats, Grubhub. But what if you're not? What if you're only driving on Uber and you're also not driving on Lyft? Well, you're missing out on a lot of requests. Every day, right now, outside in our city, there are hundreds and hundreds of requests happening right now. And you're not going to see them if you're not on all the apps. So even if you're on a wait list, this is really important. If you want to sign up, Matt, I'm trying to multi-app. I'm only approved on Uber Eats. They're not opening the marketplace for DoorDash drivers. I'm on a wait list. It is first come, first serve. So get in that line, because as soon as they open up drivers in your marketplace, start driving. Get in there. Finish your application, because it's first come, first serve. And the more requests you have coming in, the more you can increase the chance of increasing that dollar per hour.
So we're talking about earnings. Well, firstly, thanks for dropping that knowledge. I appreciate it. We're getting some comments in the live chat from David saying that he also appreciates the value that Matt's providing here. So, I mean, I'm showing you this earnings screen. This is one of Matt's earnings screens. I just grabbed one from our archive here. It's hitting $25 an hour for about a 13 and a half hour shift. I mean, Matt, I know you've done, whatever, 25, 30 plus hour shifts here. Folks, that's where I want you to be. $25 an hour. That's my goal for you on any rush shift, breakfast, lunch, and dinner rush. Let's take a look at this video as well. I mean, we've seen this super powerful order on Grubhub. I mean, this is definitely extraordinary at a $30 order. But any final points on earnings potential?
So aside from, we always recommend multi-apping, right? I know I might sound like a broken record, but that's my biggest pain. As a driver, when I started, even with Uber Eats, Mike was telling me for months, drive on DoorDash. And I said, no, I like Uber. I thought I was team Uber, right? Well, that order you just saw for $30, I never got those type of orders on Uber Eats or DoorDash. Is there a strong player in your area? Do you see small orders from Uber Eats or Postmates, which is now one and the same? Do you see small orders on Uber Eats? Do you see large orders on DoorDash? Here's the thing. These companies are fighting for your city. It's a virtual grab from marketplace. So how do they incentivize people to sign up? Well, when I tell Mike or when I tell my friends, I made $339 part-time in 1 week, people sign up. Back whenever we were driving rideshare, we would make $800 part-time. So there are apps out there that pay more. You just have to figure out which ones they may be. And there's apps out there that are trying to win your city, and that only benefits you.
I appreciate you sharing that. Folks, Matt just dropped some real knowledge here. I want to touch back on these points. Let's be frank here, okay? The whole fact of these 1099 gig economy jobs, what I always say is they're not hard, which is what makes them hard. Okay, anyone can sign up. It's very easy just to set it and forget it and just do whatever. But number one, like we talked about today, constant changes. So like Matt just said, we started in the rideshare space and literally made, $500, $600, $700, almost $800 in a weekend. I'm talking maybe Friday to Sunday. It was crazy. But remember, point number one here is these apps constantly change. So we did not always make $600 to $800. Eventually that tapered off. Rates changed, more competition, less bonus pay. So, I mean, hey, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results. So like Matt said, being tried and true to driving on just Uber Eats, you can't be that, frankly, stubborn driver, hustler, whatever, that's just going to say, hey, this is what works. And that may have been what worked in early 2021 here. But again, number one today, we're not just folks, we're not just bringing out these tips out of thin air here. We're not just making things up. These are tried and true of what we experience of thousands of trips and transactions. Yeah, you got to evolve. You got to always change. And there was actually a great question from you in the live chat here from Dash Theory TV, just asking things like, hey, do you think there's a future in retail delivery where delivering retail might pay more than food delivery? I think that was a fantastic question, and I wanted to highlight that here because that's exactly what you need to do, is keeping your ear to the ground to answer that question eventually. Like, well, maybe. We've seen fantastic pay on roadie, like I talked about with that last mile parcel delivery. We see a flat, well, now it's $15 an hour, but generally I've experienced $18 an hour up on Amazon Flex. So, my job here and Matt's job is to do the research to, try these different apps, talk to drivers. We have a Discord. Join the Discord. If it's not linked down below, I'll link it here shortly to talk to other drivers in real time. So you can follow those trends. So you can jump on what's hot. One more point here. I know I'm going long here, guys, but I was making bank on Shipt, which is grocery and daily essential deliveries, and there's videos on that on the channel where I would make like $40 plus an hour on an hour or less run, when they first came to San Diego. But again, as on Lime, I'm going on a roll here, guys. On Lime, when I charged scooters in San Diego, I was making bank on $7 a scooter, and I'd gather up 8 or 9 or whatever, and try to double down my earnings there. But yeah, tons with earnings potential here. But tip number 4, what we wish that we knew before we started this. And again, hit the like button if you're getting value. If you do want to join the inner circle here, as many in the community have done, click that join button down below. You'll get access to exclusive videos. And again, really join our inner circle here, custom emotes, badges, and more. Now, if you can't see that, you're probably on mobile. Just make sure to jump over to a computer or a laptop and you can see that there, and definitely join. So Matt, I want to talk about our next point here, which is, as real as it gets here. We talk about money. I don't see things talked about. I don't see this talked about a lot. It's vehicle depreciation, of course, especially if you're new. If you're doing this for a month to 3 months, I think that's okay. But if you're doing this to 6 to 12 plus months, this really comes into play, in my opinion. So what are your thoughts on vehicle depreciation? Both of us have driven using multiple vehicles on these platforms. What's your thoughts on this?
Right. So number one, for anyone watching, and thank you for watching. I see we have a viewer from Connecticut. I see you guys sharing your thoughts on taking short orders and stacking those $7 to $10 short orders. I see you guys in the comment section. Is it something to keep in mind? Vehicle depreciation? Yes. Is it worth it to me? Yes. Because I'm going to try to write off as much as I can. And I'm not a tax expert. Mike has a video featured on his channel on taxes, but essentially, long story short, track those miles, because we show you in our ride along videos and other videos, your tax write-off on the mileage. But here's the thing. If you're watching and you're trying to save up for a goal, in other videos, here's a power tip. Make sure you have a goal. If I want to go out there and just make a little bit of extra money, that's awesome. And you're going to make money. But if you have a goal, a really gripping goal, I want to pay off my credit card. I want to get ahead of my student loans. I want to buy that dream car. I'm saving for a down payment for my family. Whatever it happens to be, an emotional goal, that's going to really push you. A numerical goal. I want to make $500 a week.
Let me throw a curveball at you here. So what happens if I have a newer vehicle, 1 to 3 years old, new to 3 years old? Is it still worth it to drive for 6+ months, especially because that vehicle is so new? even if I'm making $25 an hour?
I'm almost speechless. That's hard to say. I mean, here's the thing. If you're going to drive full time and you know you're going to be driving full time, then maybe that factors into your vehicle purchase. Now, I used to drive, as an example, I did rideshare with a Jeep Wrangler. Okay. I got 15 miles a gallon, but I needed, from my goals, I needed that immediate cash to save for a down payment for some renovations I had going on. I'm just being real with you guys. I mean, I wanted that extra income. Okay. So if that's your goal, I think it's worth it. 100%. If you have a new car and you're thinking about, like I'm getting a new car, and I did that through driving. I could save up some extra money, but I knew that if I got a fuel efficient car, that would really help me, because the mileage is something we talk about a lot. What do you think?
Well, I think that's really tricky. I mean, folks, the debate around vehicles, if I was frank with you, the best vehicle to use is a fully depreciated, completely paid off hybrid vehicle. That's why you see a lot of those older Priuses, Prii, whatever the plural of Prius is. You see the Priuses on rideshare because they're nice because of the hybrid functionality. They're from a reliable brand. And you would think, you would hope at least they're paid off in full. So you're not carrying a $40,000, whatever it is, loan against the vehicle. And, maybe it's got some dings and some dents. So if you're driving it for rideshare, you don't really care, versus if you're, putting that shiny 2021 vehicle on the road. You're driving for any platform, really. So here's my thought to answer your question here. It is completely up to you running your own business as an independent contractor if you want to put a newer vehicle on the road. So with vehicle depreciation, if you're going to be doing this for 6+ months, I believe, because under that, yeah, you'll be hitting some miles there, but really 6+, a year plus, then the conversation comes into the trade-offs. You really have to look at your numbers and how fast do you want to depreciate this vehicle? Because Matt, the argument goes, well, you're trading in the equity of your vehicle for money up front. You're basically taking the loan out of your vehicle and putting it into your bank account with these platforms. And there's some truth in that if you're driving a vehicle that has not even depreciated yet. So folks, if the average person's driving 10 to 12K miles a year, if you're doing these platforms, especially full time, you're looking at 30, 40, maybe more, 1,000 miles a year. That's something that you definitely need to consider there. So number 5, that kind of goes with this point here. Then we'll land the plane on the training today. Very important. Again, if you're getting value, definitely drop a like if you are getting value today. But that's the tax situation. Like Matt mentioned, we have brought a certified financial planner, Stephanie McElhaney, president of financial planning at Aspen Wealth Strategies. There's a whole playlist on that. I welcome Stephanie back on the channel if you guys have any more questions. But let's talk about the tax situation here, because this is something that also gets forgotten. You simply don't know. Like you mentioned, you don't know what you don't know. What happens if you're making $300-400 a week or more, and you spend it all on the vacation or the big ticket items? What happens come tax time? What's the big uh-oh moment? And what should these drivers, hustlers, etc., team members be doing here?
Sure. So in my opinion, again, I would check out those videos Mike mentioned. But what I understand going into the end of the year, and we just came out of it, so you probably just filed your taxes or what have you. So when you're making money, right? So when you're making your Uber, your DoorDash, whatever happens to be, what I like to keep in mind is at the end of the year, when I file my taxes, I'm going to have to pay back 20%, somewhere around that number. So you could be making $10,000, but you're going to have a few $1,000s that you have to pay back. So planning. So I saw you guys ask in the comments section, do you pay it off quarterly? because some CPAs, and this is really important because we can talk about money all day long, but you're going to know this information where other new drivers may not. And our job is to make sure you're not shocked by the end of the year. So in addition to make it as much as you can, you're going to be smart, because just expect maybe 20%, I would say. And Mike has some tables here we're going to go over, but set aside a little bit of money in a savings account. Okay. And I would overestimate if you can. But here's the thing. Here's the cool thing. If you want to spend it all right now, you can. Because if you know, I'm going to spend it all right now, and then at the end of the year, I'm putting in 100% of my earnings for maybe the last few months. That's all going to go into a savings account for my taxes. But you need a little more money up front. However you decide to slice it, as long as you pay what you're responsible for, then it shouldn't be a shock. But our job is to at least set up some type of expectation. But again, I'm not a CPA. That is what I simply do.
Yeah, our job is to let you know. If you didn't know, now you know. You do need to set aside money for taxes. You're an independent contractor, a 1099 independent contractor. So you're paid in gross revenue. You're not paid out with net revenue or revenue with withholdings like a W-2. So like Matt mentioned, I always recommend 20 to 30% of that gross revenue. Now, of course, that disclaimer, Matt and I are not CPAs or financial professionals. So this is not legal or professional tax or financial advice. Definitely seek out a CPA or other tax professional here. And again, we do have those videos with Stephanie. She's been great on answering those questions. You can definitely watch that after this video. But know that there are resources available to you. This is from the IRS here in the United States. So we can see for your business miles this year, you can allocate 56 cents per business mile as a deduction, which is going to offset your taxable income at the end of the year. That is down from 57.5 cents in 2020. So it's important for you to keep track of these miles, because without a record, and again, Stephanie mentions this more here, but it's going to be more tough for you to prove that you drove whatever it is, 12K miles for business. So there's apps you can use to track your miles. You can do it manually as long as you have a sheet or a record somewhere to deduct that 56 cents per business mile. Yeah, I think that's, and to answer that other question here, do I need to pay quarterly taxes? And again, Stephanie answers this very nicely. You may not have to, or you may be required to, depending on your state's requirements for you. So definitely you can look into that, or again, seek counsel from a tax professional. If you don't pay quarterly and if you pay annually, there may be a fee along with that, but you could pay annually. But again, definitely seek counsel on that. I just personally, as a personal recommendation, I would recommend quarterly taxes just to get in front of those payments. So again, you're not surprised come tax time. So folks, I do hope that you got a value in this training today. Right now, if you know someone that would enjoy this content, that wants to be a part of the team here, that's looking to start or grow a hustle this year. Again, it's not going to necessarily be just in the gig economy. Really, this year, it is with active and semi-passive revenue streams this year. So if you got value in this training today, you can definitely drop a like on this video. Consider joining as a VIP as well. And thanks to Matt for joining another video today. I invite you to also click over this way, click or tap screen right here for another video, and we'll see you in the next one.